Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin, the General Manager of KSJE. We are producing these videos in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the Aztec Highland Games and Celtic Music Festival. The Games and Festival, of course, are virtual this year, but we are talking to some of the people who've been very involved in the first 10 years of the Highland Games. And one of those people, my guest at the moment, that is Jessica Polatty. She was the chair of the Aztec Highland Games for the first 8 years of their existence, from 2010 to 2018. Jessica's joining me from Bloomfield, New Mexico today. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks, Scott. I'm glad to be here.
Very good. Well, here we are 10 years later after the very first Highland Games, and give us some insight maybe into those early discussions back in 2010 or even before then about putting together this event in Aztec, New Mexico.
Yes, it's been an awesome ride. Kind of funny, and I'm sure John Cater may have alluded to this in his interview, but you know, it was just some of us crazies sitting around the kitchen at my neighbor's house drinking Jamesons, and you know, John had mentioned, gosh, at Riverside Park, I've always wanted to do a Highland Games there, and I was like, what's that? What's Highland Games? And of course, then he started talking to me about it, and then I was like, wow, that sounds great. And then we had enough, and then in that time frame between him saying that and the time frame of starting the games, I had traveled to Scotland various times and gone to actual Highland Games, which are a hoot, as we all know who have gone to them,
right?
Even the one at Aztec. And so I knew what they were, and then we did have opportunity. Carl Freuden brought it to our attention that possibly Durango was looking into doing something along the same lines. And so we kind of jumped from there and said, well, shoot, we have a great park for it. We should get on this. And that was kind of where it took off.
Very nice. And from the beginning, was it always planned to be kind of a Highland Games and a festival, though, with the music and the other things that are part of it, too?
Yes. It was always slated as games with just kind of a big Celtic festival with the music, vendors with specifics towards Highland Games or Scottish vendors, and food, and the whole gamut.
Right. And so anyone that's done any kind of event planning has to know what your life was like in the weeks and months maybe leading up to these major events as chair. I mean, you had a small army of volunteers and a lot of moving parts to get all this all together every October?
Yes, lots
Right.
and lots of moving parts. We had some great committee leaders. We had, oh boy, I don't even know at this time. I think we had like 9 committees out there just that would concentrate on each aspect of the games. And
Right.
then, of course, me having that great job, which actually is a really great job, of checking in with those committees and finding out what they were doing and then helping in any way I could in throughout the entire thing. So it's a big job, but it's a really rewarding job, and it was really fun.
Well,
really fun.
Yeah, well, and those of us that were involved there along with you, although I certainly didn't put in as many hours as the rest of everyone did, but certainly could see the joy that you had in putting it together, even though it might have been stressful at times. I think overall, you really enjoyed putting it together, seeing the fruit of your efforts, too, as the festival got underway every year.
Oh, yeah, it was so fun, and opening the games was always such a great time with the bagpipe bands that are playing, and you just sort of look out on the field and all the athletes and everybody who's in attendance, and you just get really happy because it's such a great, fun event. And we need more of that definitely now, but I think we need it all the time, where people can just come together and just have a really good time.
Right.
And not have to worry about, there's something for everybody. There's kids games, there's the actual athletic games, there's music, a traditional stage, a main stage, there's pipe bands, there's belly dancing, believe it or not. There's all sorts of things. So it was just a really good time. There are a lot of hours put in by committee members, by everybody, and I always started the games with thanking all the volunteers, because you just can't do that without people who have their heart in it.
Right. Well, very true. And then bringing this event to Aztec, I think, is somewhat of an accomplishment too, as John Cater mentioned and you've mentioned, Riverside Park really seems like a natural space to put on an event like this, but it certainly could be put on in other areas in the Four Corners or in even San Juan County. But you wanted to have it in Aztec. You live in Aztec. You have a business in Aztec, and I think that's important too for kind of civic pride. And the city has been a good partner too in making this happen.
Oh yes, the city's been wonderful. Whoops, sorry about that. I might have my battery go out.
Well, not. You're back. We can see you.
Okay. I'm going to send somebody out to get my phone cord.
Okay.
So it's been, the city has been super helpful every single year for us. We could never do it without them. It has been absolutely fantastic. They love it. They help with so much. The electric department, the parks department, everything helps out so much with what we're doing that it is just spectacular to work with that city. I have made some really good friends through the city through this, and we still call each other by first name, and have a lot of respect for the job those people do.
Right, and I bet that you probably couldn't do it without all the folks with the city. I mean, there's certainly a lot of other city departments that I know make this happen, from the Parks Department, the maintenance folks, and all the other folks that we hear from when we talk to. Now, I'm showing everybody a picture right now, Jessica Polatty, of you and the famous bicycle that you would use to get from one end of the park to another as chair of the Highland Games. Each and every year when you were chair, we would see you pedaling around because folks would need something and they would need it yesterday, and you would get over there to help them. And two-way radios were crackling, and you would get on your bike and off you would go. Is there more to a story behind the bicycle than that?
No, that's my cruiser bike. I'm sending one of my staff out to get my phone cord so I don't die.
That's all right.
Yeah, the bicycle was the first way I used to do it. That is my cruiser. I still own that bike. And I was like, I'm going to get exercise while I do this, not knowing that, oh my gosh, when you're setting up, you're basically walking that field, that park. I can't even tell you how many times. I should have had a Fitbit on.
Right.
Because it was just amazing how many miles you put in.
Yeah.
So I had the bike first, and that helped me get from one end of the field to the other. And then I had the two baskets on the back so I could carry things for people. And then we realized a couple of years in, this isn't working anymore because I need to carry more stuff. So then I got the golf cart.
You upgraded to a golf cart.
Golf carts are great. You can carry a lot of stuff and yourself, and you don't get so tired. So, yeah, the bike was fun. I still ride a bike, of course.
Of course.
Just for fun now.
It served its purpose back in the day.
Exactly.
That's for sure. Now, are you back and settled where you need to be right now with your phone and everything? Everything good?
Yeah, they're going out to get my cord, and then I'll plug in.
She'll plug it. Okay.
I'm still here.
She's roving around a little bit with us, and that's okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy. Oh, no, thank you.
That's okay.
I meant to do this before the interview, and of course I didn't.
That's no problem at all. So not a problem. I want to ask you a little bit, too, about the games part of the Highland Games, as we talked to the announcer, of course, Francis Bregner, the other day. And there's a lot of athletes in the area that have really kind of taken part in the game, the athletic part of the Highland Games, which is really kind of cool to see.
Yeah. It's the athletes, and I'm not sure about right now, of course, or in the last year, but we had some local athletes that would host a practice at Riverside Park pretty much every Sunday around 2 o'clock. And they encouraged anybody who was interested to come down, and they would have a lot of the implements there, the cabers, the weights, those kinds of things, the rocks. And they would show people how to do it safely, so that if people were interested in the games and wanted to participate, or if they just wanted to try it out, just for fun, that they would come down there and do that. And that's the Four Corners Athletics Association, I believe is what they're called.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that's still going on. I hope so. I hope it is still going on.
I would hope that it is too, but maybe a little, maybe less capacity or some social distancing or things like that, like everything these days. But certainly the athletic part is really another big part. And again, both men and women welcomed onto the field to take part, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Men and women. We even have had, I'll call them youngsters. I won't tell you how old I am, but kids like around 16, 17 participating.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, you can definitely social distance with a caber. That's for sure.
No kidding. That's very true. Now, I'm also showing a picture of some of the I think trophies that were awarded early on during your stint as chair of the Highland Games that were actually created by you, because you are an artist as well, and you were throwing some pottery and I think making some of the trophies for the first competitions, right? I'm looking at something from 2014.
Yeah, I actually made the trophies for the whole 8 years that I was there. And so they would be either a tumbler or a plate or something, usually along those lines, so that I could make a lot of them really quick. But yeah, I was hoping that people really appreciated kind of and I made like a little goblet thing at one point.
That's right.
I think that people appreciated that. It was like, this is not just, something we bought online, which we bought a lot of stuff online, but This is not just something that, a prize that somebody bought online for us. This was something that somebody took some time with. So I loved making the trophies. I thought it was really great. And it was funny, Francis Brebner, when he was giving them out on year 7 for me, I helped him hand those out at the end for the people that get trophies. And I don't think he knew I made all that. And so then he looked at me and he was like, somebody said, "Oh, Jessica, I love these, that you make these." And he said, "You've made all these years?" And I said, "Yes, I do that too." And I think he just kind of looked at me for a couple of seconds like, "Oh my gosh, you are absolutely crazy." So yeah, and that's true.
Well, but they're terrific. I mean, and again, you're right. They're so unique. They're so unique to the event. They're not cookie cutter by any means, and they're very individualized, and you can tell you put a lot of work and effort into them. Anyway, we are showing the photo right now, and they look just terrific. So I wanted to remind folks that you played a role in creating these things during the early years of the Aztec Highland Games and Celtic Festival. And so, Jessica, as we look maybe to the future, of course, this year the event is virtual, so we're helping with some of these videos, talking with folks who were part of the games early on. What is your hopes and plans for the future here for 2021?
Well, and I just have to give enormous kudos to Krista Chapman, because she's taken it on as the event coordinator for the past 2 years, last year and this virtual year, which of course we talked about a little bit earlier. It's maybe not quite as fun to do it virtually, but kudos to her and her group for continuing it and making it still in the forefront of people's minds that this is still going on, this will go on, and we'll just do it whichever way that we can. For the future, Krista's doing a great job. I hope to get involved again at some point. I had to step away, as we all have to, with certain things because our lives just get real busy. But I do hope to get more involved in the coming years. But one thing I said on your show a couple of years back is I think it would be so wonderful to be able to incorporate people getting married at the Highland Games. I just think that would be really, really great.
That would be cool. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it'd be an anniversary you'd probably never forget. So, well, hopefully, if you kept coming to the games. But yeah, I think that we have such a great group. All the athletes, all the volunteers, all the people that put it on. Like I said, it's just a fun weekend. How do you not want to be a part of that?
Very true. That's very true. Yeah. Now, who's responsible for the Bonnie Knee contest? Was that you or Sally?
No, that was Sally.
Okay.
That was Sally Burbridge, who, of course, I love and miss immensely. But
member of the committee, former mayor of Aztec, we'll just say, right? Yes. And so, okay.
I miss her in all her aspects, and just as her person, I miss.
Yes.
But she's still alive, folks. She just moved.
That's right. That's true.
So that was her baby child, and she came to us and just said, there's this kind of fun thing, and we're like, shoot, yeah, let's hear about it. And she told us, and of course, at the planning meeting, which there's always maybe a beer or two going around at a planning meeting. We just laughed so hard, but that was nothing compared to how you laugh at that when you are live doing it. As you know.
I do know. I'm afraid that I do. Yes, that's true. And have the sashes to prove it, everybody.
I know.
Exactly.
Yes,
some runner-ups one year and in first place a couple years, so I'm very proud to, be
absolutely. So that contest is super fun, and you know that involves some knee touching of blindfolded people from the crowd that have volunteered to do that. But super fun, and I, you know, those sashes are things that you should display with pride. Absolutely.
I do, and I think all the other winners do too. So that's
absolutely
very, very true. Well, it's been great catching up with you, Jessica, to talk about the Aztec Highland Games and the Celtic Festival. And again, we're missing it this year in person.
I know.
But we can certainly celebrate virtually and kind of relive some of the memories of the last 10 years. And it's amazing that it's been 10 years. I think it's gone by pretty quickly. I don't know. I wasn't as involved as you were, but it seems like it just started yesterday.
You know, and it's so funny because I remember sitting on the porch with Therese Yannon, and she was the athletic director at the time, also my neighbor, also somebody who I didn't really stiff arm to get involved, but got them involved. We sat there year 7 we always do a debrief on her porch that night, and we were gonna get out of it that year and turn it over, and we just looked at each other and we said, we got to do it one more year because it's so fun. I mean, the planning parts can be hard. We all know that, people who plan events, but when you're at the event, it is just a hoot. Right. There's nothing better.
And so that turned into 8 years?
It turned into 8 years.
Okay. Not that I'm counting.
8 years. It turned into 8 years for me, and now this is the 10th year, our 10th anniversary. So even though it's virtual, I hope people will still tune into that and get that feel-good feeling we all get from it.
Very true. Stay connected and certainly enjoy, hopefully, 2021 for year 11 when we're back in person celebrating the Highland Games at Aztec's Riverside Park.
You bet. I think it will be back live for sure next year.
There you go. You and me both. So wonderful. Jessica Polatty, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all the work that you've done for the Highland Games.
Oh, you bet, Scott. Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome.